As we know, strictly speaking, the harvest is the end of the age. We're not there. But the process of sowing and harvesting and reaping is all ongoing. And so everybody who sows the word of the kingdom is getting paid for that, is getting rewarded for that. The one reaping a reward involved, it receives, gathers fruit to life. Okay, the one reaping receives and gathers fruit for life. That is certainly a present tense, a present participle there. Derison, the one reaping a reward receives. That's quite clear. Well, it's true. But that reward is essentially gained at the end, so that the one sowing, that's certainly now, together may rejoice, and the one weeping. Well, Jesus is the one weeping, but you know there are lots of present tenses in the Greek New Testament which refer to the future. Typical example, the one in Luke where he says that the Pharisees said, when is the kingdom coming? Not when will the kingdom coming, but that's the meaning. So the Hebrew mind grasps the totality. They taught me that at the Jerusalem University many, many years ago. You're reaping, but you're not yet reaping. But the process is ongoing, so it doesn't really matter. We know that the harvest is firstly the end of the age. We know it's not yet the end of the age. But the great thing is to be sowing the seed of the message of the kingdom. And that's what people are not doing. They're trying to get converted by every possible means, except the means laid down by Jesus, which is preaching the gospel of the kingdom, the seed message of the kingdom, Matthew 13:19. That seed message of the kingdom, gospel of the kingdom, must be sown in your heart. Then the whole process of reaping at the end is beginning, but certainly not ended, not fully accomplished. Something like that. I think it's to do with the present tense, often referring to the future in the New Testament.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking also of John 5, when the dead hear the voice of the Son. He who hears my voice, believe him who sent me, has eternal life. So
Yes.
there's an interesting use
Yes,
of
it
that
is.
present tense.
Of course, has the life of the age to come. That's to say, as a down payment, as Paul later says, you get the Spirit now as a guarantee of the future life of the age to come. That eternal life you have up there should always be translated, the life of the age to come, tasted now in advance and gained fully as an inheritance at the future parousia, the one single visible spectacular parousia of Jesus to come back to rule the world from the throne of David in Jerusalem.
Right, and then he goes on to say even more explicitly that we have passed from death into life, but obviously
wonderful.
That's
a taste only. That's wonderful. We have this a sense in which you've already crossed the barrier, if you like, from death to life, when we believe the gospel of the kingdom, not when we just accept Jesus in our heart. What it practically means for people is they want to be forgiven their sins, and that's not wrong. But the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus is only part of the gospel. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15, I preached the gospel to you in 1 Corinthians 15. And he said, I told you among things of first importance. He didn't say it was the whole gospel. It was the issue at hand that was that they were giving up on the resurrection. So he tackles that. And he says the resurrection of Jesus and your future resurrection is a part of the gospel, a very important part, but not the whole gospel. The key is to go back to the beginning of the gospel, Mark 1:1, Mark 1:14, Acts 10. When Jesus preached the gospel of peace, Jesus did. You can talk about Jesus till you're blue in the face, but if you don't mention his teaching, you're still Antichrist. 1 Timothy 6:3, 2 John 7-9. Plainly, the great and dangerous error is to go on saying, Lord, Lord, but not to do what Jesus says. You start by obeying his gospel of the kingdom.